What's up guys, I'm Branch with Corbin's Archery. Today I'm going to be doing a video on my shot process, how I set up in the shot sequence I go into every time I'm ready to shoot my bow. So let's dive right into it. Alright, so first up is going to be stance. Stance is very important. It's going to be your base, just like if you're doing anything athletic. It's going to help eliminate some of that pin movement, be more steady. What I like to do is I like to be slightly open to the target. Now you can be perfectly square to the target, but you never want to be away from the target. So either open to the target, like this, or straight square with the target. The reason I like to be slightly open is this opens up my chest just a little bit. So if I open up, see how that's going to pull everything in line? So this gives me a little bit room if I'm running a chest pack or chest harness or anything like that, so that string's not going to have contact. Just gives me a little bit more space in this area that I don't have to worry about that string making any contact, overextending myself. So once I get my stance, I'm going to think about my grip, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold on just like this. Whether you've got a back bar stabilizer or you can put your cam, I'm going to rest this bow, let it hang down off my leg. So then I'm going to take my grip and I'm going to place it in there. For grip is one of the most important things. We see a lot of this affect accuracy for tuning, how that arrow kicks, anything like that coming out of the bow. Grip is going to be one of the most important things. It also creates the stability, keeps that pin movement down. So what I teach people is think about if you're telling someone to stop, you'd stick that hand straight out. Now I'm pointing at the target, telling the target to stop. If I push in a certain spot on my hand, the pressure is going to run all the way up this shoulder. It's going to naturally kind of keep in line. Everything's naturally steady. If I put it on the outside, it's going to make this hand pull this way, throw off that shoulder alignment. If I put it on the inside, same thing, it'll pull this shoulder that way, throwing off that alignment. So here for a quick visual demonstration, I'll have my wife, Mackenzie, kind of show. So if I'm set up just like that, have her push on the outside, see how that hand naturally wants to go like that? Now push on the inside. It's naturally going to go out. Now push right in that middle area. Push, push, push. See how it's pushing me straight back? That's the same thing that's happening with your bow. If you don't put that right in the spot, that's going to push that bow off to the left or right, depending on where you want it. So when you get set, you want to find that spot in your hand with minimal hand pressure. You don't want to get a whole bunch of your hand in there. You just want to find it, let it sit in there. Then you want to lightly touch the very furthest riser. You don't want to wrap around, because when you squeeze that bow, see what happens when I get nervous and I start squeezing that bow, how that moves? If I put those fingers on the very front of that riser, if I squeeze, it's not torquing that bow. So that's why you want to have your fingers on the front. You also don't want to have them out, because when that bow jumps, it allows it to move. This acts as kind of like a spring system that almost kind of slows the bow down when it does hit your fingers. So when it fires, it's going to jump into those fingers, keeping it from doing any kind of weird kicks or anything. So we get set. I've got my feet, I've got my grip placement, and then I'm going to go to draw. So what I like to do to draw is I like to draw straight at the target. This is going to be the safest and also going to be the most effective for hunting. So if I drew like this, or if I do something like this, or if I kind of come across my body, that's a lot of movement. So in hunting situations, an animal is going to have more tendency to see this. If I keep everything in line, straight at the animal, my body acts as like a silhouette, and it kind of hides some of that movement that you'll see as I draw. So I'll pop this off. Same thing, stance, grip. I'm going up. I'm using the bow's weight and momentum with it as I kind of pull down with my bow hand. Then I'm pulling over the top, just like that, straight at my target. After I draw, I'm at full draw. Everything's kind of tense. You just pulled a bunch of weight back, so you got to let everything settle. So what I like to do is kind of take a deep breath and just let those shoulders sit into their sockets, and it's going to help create that stability. Not going to fatigue as much being up here, creating some kind of shoulder impingements, and get some tightness in this front shoulder. So draw back, let everything relax, and then I'm pulling the scaps together. That's going to create my alignment with my arrow. Pulling those scaps together, bringing that into my face, and anchor points. So roll through it. Got our stance, grip set. Draw at my target, let those shoulders settle, pull that into the scap, into the anchor points. So anchor points are going to be super critical. This is going to help align everything. And the two most important anchor points that for me are going to be the tip of my nose, which is going to help me align my left and right with my peep sight, and the corner of my mouth. That's going to make sure I don't get this further back. Now, a lot of people will be maybe wondering, well, what about your hand? That is correct. Your hand is very important as well. You want to have a spot that's comfortable, that sits in there. But as you go out and you shoot further distances, as you move that sight, you will be changing where this goes. So at 100 yards, my anchor point is going to be lower than at my 20 because I've got to line this peep sight up with the scope, and as the scope rolls down, I've got to change something to be able to line that up. So that's a big difference right there. My peep is not going to align with my scope, and peep to scope is the most important thing for consistency. So I'll drop that hand down. Some more consistency. I like to split my two knuckles with my jaw. That's going to follow up and down this jaw because there's kind of a natural angle on there. Like I said, at further distance it's going to be lower. At my normal 20 to 30 yards it'll be a little bit higher. Stance, grip, draw back, shoulders, pull that scalp, tip of the nose, corner of the mouth. And then as I rover my sight, I may have to move this up and down, keeping the corner of my mouth and the tip of my nose touching the string, and making sure that that peep is aligned perfectly circled. Those are the basics for building a solid shooting foundation, being prepared to shoot the arrow, executing your release, going through the motions. But getting set up is going to be one of the most critical points. Archery is about consistency. It doesn't matter a lot of things except if you can do it 100% right every single time. So making sure you set up with your stance, you draw that bow back the same, you find those same anchor points every time, and then you do the same thing with your release. It's going to be the most consistent, most accurate. There's a lot of things that you can do to a bow that are tools, such as adding different accessories that can slightly improve you. But if you can be consistent and do the same thing every time, that's going to be the most accurate for you. So find a system that works for you, a process that works for you the best, implement it, practice it, do it the same, and I promise you it'll make you a better archer. If y'all have any questions, drop them in the comments below. If you have any information you'd like to share with us, thoughts about this, let us know. Y'all have a great day, and thanks for watching.